Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Guys, before I say anything else, I just want to say watch the videos at 1.5 to 1.75 times speed because I talk a bit slow and you'll get the most value at that speed. Having said that, guys, today's video is kind of an important one, actually a very important one, and a very simple one. I feel like we all need this reminder at some point in our life. In fact, we need this reminder constantly, and I need this reminder constantly. And it's about us saying that we love God, right? If someone were to ask me, especially like people who are religious, people who are Muslims, people who are of other religions as well, right? If you ask the question that who do you love the most in your life, and they'll usually resort back to saying I love God the most, right? Or I love God more than my parents. I love God more than anyone else in this world, right? Especially with Muslims as well. This is the case that you have to love God and His Messenger before any other individual on this planet, even before yourself to a certain extent, right? In fact, yes, to all extents. You need to love them before yourself because that's your iman, that's your faith. You will be dust and rubble, but your iman will stand out. Your faith will stand out, and that's what will take you to the next life and make you succeed eventually. So when we ask this question, we usually get this response back: yes, I love God the most in the world. I love God the most in my life. I've never loved anyone else as much as I love God. But is that really the case? That's what the video is about. Is that really the truth? Do we really love Allah, or do we really love God more than anyone else in this world? And if we are very, very honest, the answer is a sad no, right? Even though we want to feel that way towards Him, even though we want to love Him more than anyone else in this world, and even though He deserves our love more than anyone else in this world, even more than ourselves because of the blessings that He's given us. And think about the blessings that He's given us, right? If He wills, for the amount of sins and for the amount of distraught and disobedience we show towards Him, if we had shown the same amount of disobedience towards His creation, towards His people, they wouldn't even want to look at us. Think about your parents, right? Your mother, she loves you the most. No one can love you more than your mother does, right? That's true for most cases. 99% of the cases, that's true. And yet, if we showed the amount of disobedience we showed towards God, to our mothers, I'm certain that most of them would be very displeased by us. Most of them wouldn't even want to look at us. Even though in their heart they might love us, but they won't even want to look at us. And look at Allah, right? Every single day I get up and I sin. Every single day I transgress His limits. And He says in His Quran over and over again, He says in His word, Allah does not like those who transgress. And I do it every single day. And we all do it, right? I'm not trying to expose my sins here, but that's the truth. We are sinners. We sin every single day. Now, yes, there's a separate argument to be had that Allah made us sinners so that we can repent and come back to Him. But think about how much do we repent, really? How much do we come back to Him after we sin? Every single day we sin, and we might repent to Him once a month at max, or maybe once a week. But we transgress against His limits. We sin against Him. We show disobedience. He tells us to pray, we don't pray. He tells us to ponder and read Quran, we don't do that. He tells us to remember Him, we don't do that. Where do we stand then? Where do we stand? Eh? But if you ask us the question that who do we love the most? We love Allah. We don't listen to Him. We show disobedience to Him. We are ungrateful towards Him. The smallest thing displeases us, we go up to Him and we're like, God, why would you do this to me? We have this attitude of like we deserve goodness in our life. Like we don't deserve anything but goodness, happiness. And yet we displease Him throughout. We show ungratitude. We're ungrateful towards Him. If He willed, if He really did not love us, or if He for a second got mad at us like us humans get mad at each other, and He took away our ability to breathe, that's it. It's over for us. One breath, guys. With every breath I'm taking, it's a blessing from Him to me. Right? And we say that we love Him, but we don't really. We don't show that love. Think about, right? I'm going to talk about myself. When I'm in love with His creation, let's say I'm in love with a girl, or I'm in love with my potential wife, or whatever, right? Especially, I'm talking to guys right now. What are you willing to do for the girl that you're in love with? Everything, right? You're willing to do anything and everything. I've seen it happen. Guys are hopeless romantics. They'll do whatever they can. I'm talking about most guys, right? They'll try to do romantic things. They'll try to do things that make her remember you. You're remembering her all the time. You're thinking about her all the time. You're trying to make up. You're practically obsessed with her. God's creation. You're obsessed with Allah's creation when you fall in love with her. Are you obsessed with Allah? Are you obsessed with Allah as much as you're obsessed with that girl that you're in love with or you were in love with? Because if you're not, then you don't truly love him like you're supposed to. Because if you say that you love God the most, then you should be obsessed with him the most if that's how you show love. You should be remembering him all the time. His words, his name should be on your tongue every single second. When you're in love with a girl, you can't stop talking about her. You're talking about her with your family, you're talking about her to your friend, you're talking about her to every other individual that you can find. But you love God, you say you love God, you can't talk about him. As soon as you start talking about him, you feel like, oh, I'm preaching, I should stop. And I'm talking about myself. When I'm making these videos, I'm essentially talking to myself. That's the whole point of this channel. I'm not talking to people. I'm just talking to my future self or my past self. When I'm obsessed with his creation, when I'm in love with his creation, I'm obsessed with his creation. But I'm not as obsessed with him. And that's what I need to do. Like, that's what I don't understand, that I can't get to that level yet. But again, that's the never-ending journey. That's why we can't truly say that we love him till we start trying to show him that we love him. And then there's this other aspect, right? Where we're like, we love him, but we have our own way of showing love. When you're in love with a person, do you not show love to them the way they like to be loved? You show that love to them in their love language, don't you? Right? If they like receiving gifts, you get them gifts. If they like words of affirmation, you praise them. But when it comes to God, you're not even willing to love him the way he loves to be loved. He says, pray to me 5 times a day. That's all he asks from us as Muslims, right? As Muslims, all he's asking from us every single day. With a girl we're talking to every single day, we would spend hours on the phone trying to leave a good image of ourselves with her, or like make her feel happy, or make her feel loved. Allah calls us 5 times a day to him. It takes 4 to 5 minutes to pray. Fard, only fard. It takes 4 to 5 minutes to pray. And we don't even do that at times. We think it's so difficult. We make that the bare minimum as a huge thing. Right? So all I'm saying is, if you're going to stand there and say that I love God the most, then you better be obsessed with him. And if you're not, then work towards being obsessed with him. Remember him. Do dhikr. Pray 5 times a day. That's all he's asking, right? As Muslims, what is he asking from you? The bare minimum. What is he asking from you? Fast in Ramadan. That's once a year. One month in a year. Give zakah once in a year. 2.5% of the year once in a year. Do hajj once in your lifetime. In your lifetime. Say shahada. Again, you need to say that once in your lifetime. You need to affirm that you believe in Allah and his messenger. But the only thing you have to do every single day is your 5 daily prayers, and we still can't do that. And then we have the audacity to say that we love him. And then we have the audacity to go up to him when things go wrong in our life and ask him for stuff. How dare we? We really need to look inwards. I need to look inwards and really ask myself, do I really love him? And if I don't, if I'm not obsessed with him, then I need to get obsessed with him. Then I need to love him as much as I say I love him. And only then can I justify to myself asking from him. Only then can I justify to myself deserving his forgiveness. Because I don't deserve his forgiveness if I lie about my love towards him. Imagine lying about your love towards a girl. You think she's ever going to forgive you? She's not. Imagine lying about your love towards your parents. But we lie about our love towards Allah all the time. We need to be obsessed with him, guys. That's the whole point of this message. Right? Love him the way he needs to be loved. Or not needs, I'm sorry, that was the wrong choice of word. Love him the way he wants to be loved. Read the Quran. Pray 5 times a day. Do dhikr. Remember him. Say Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. He's the only one worthy of praise. All glory is to him. He's the greatest. Say things like that. Seek forgiveness in him. Call him by his attributes. The most merciful, the most gracious, the all-knowing, the all-seeing, the never-resting, the all-sustaining. Remember him by his virtues, his attributes. Love him the way he wants to be loved. Then love him the way you want to love him. Write about him. Talk about him. In fact, even talking about him is the way he wants to be loved. He likes people who talks about his deen. He likes people who call people to the truth. So talk about him. Right? How do you love a girl? Love him like that. And then love him a little bit more. So don't not only love him the way he wants to be loved, but love him the way you love loving. You like talking about, when you're in love with someone, you like talking about them, then talk about him. You love writing about someone when you're in love with them, write about him. You love giving him gifts, you love giving gifts when you're in love with someone, give gifts in his name to the poor. Do zakah, do charity, do sadaqah. Right? Do it for the sake of him. Do it for the love of him. You love, I don't know, what else do people do when they're in love? They write poetry for him. Right? Write poetry in his praise, praising him and thanking him and being grateful to him. You just like sitting down, remembering the person and remembering all the memories that you spent with a person when you were in love with them. Then remember Allah and remember about all the blessings that He's given you and all the things that He's done for you. All the ways that He's opened and all the blessings that He's given you, your arms, your hands, your legs, your tongue, your brain, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Remember those things. Remember the time that you spent in His pleasure, like you spent a night praying to Him in Ramadan. Remember that moment and think about how great that made you feel. Do that again. Right? Do these things, guys. Don't just say that you love Allah or you love God. Actually put an effort in showing Him that you love Him. Because yes, He knows what's in your heart, but actions speak louder than words and actions speak louder than your thoughts. Show Him that you love Him. Don't just have it in your heart. Because yes, we all love Him in our heart. But when we love someone, we try to express it. We try to show it. Call out to Him. Tell Him you love Him. Tell Him all you want to do is seek His pleasure. Tell Him that you ask for forgiveness from Him. Tell Him that you worship Him and Him alone and you ask Him and Him alone for help. Tell Him those things. He knows them, yes. He knows that you're not capable of doing anything on your own. He knows this already. But tell Him. Your parents already know that you love them, but every time you tell your mother you love her, she'll have a little smile on her face. They know this, but they deserve it. They seek it. They don't seek it, but they deserve to have that verbalized, to have that affirmation. Your parents, I'm talking about. So imagine God, who's done so much for you, who's given you those parents that you love so much. Why can't we affirm our love to Him the way He wants to be loved and then the way we want to love Him? That feels like a chore. Praying 5 times a day. I just prayed Dhuhr and felt like a chore to me. That's not the definition of true love. When we're reading His Quran, we're looking at when the surah ends so I can close the Quran and put it on the side. That's not love. When you love someone, you want to hear them all day, every day. But when it comes to the Quran, the last time we opened it was in Ramadan. The last time we heard it was when we're scrolling on TikTok and someone said, "Shame on you for not listening to the Quran." And we sat there for 50 seconds waiting for it to be over. That's not love, guys. So that's the message of this video. Show love to Allah. When you say that you love someone, actually mean it. And when you say that you love Allah, show Him that you love Him. Show yourself that you love Him. Prove it to yourself. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to Him because He's given you a lot of blessings. You owe it to Allah to ask for His forgiveness, to show gratitude, and to show Him that you love Him. Truly. Have a good one, guys. Until next time, I love you people.